gentleman from Florida is recognized for 5 minutes.
We are here at the hearing on the Manhattan District Attorney's Office, and the essential ingredient we seem to be missing is the Manhattan District Attorney, which I guess, Mr. Roy, would be a lot like going to the Salt Lick Barbecue and not getting the moist brisket. Now, to Mr. Jordan's credit, great credit, he sent a letter to Mr. Bragg on May 31st inviting him to come participate, and we got sort of a nasty gram back from Mr. from Mr. Bragg on June 7th. Mr. Chairman, I seek unanimous consent to enter into the record the June 7th response from AG Bragg.
Without objection.
And I'm sorry, DA Bragg. And in this letter, I'm going to quote from it, Ms. Foley. Bragg says, "This office is committed to voluntary cooperation." Do you believe that?
No.
The letter continues, "That cooperation includes making the district attorney available to provide testimony on behalf of the office at an agreed upon date." Do you believe that?
I'll believe it when I see it.
It goes on to say that they're evaluating the propriety of allowing an assistant district attorney to testify publicly about the matter. Now, that assistant district attorney is the one who downstreamed from DOJ, right? So you think they're going to provide Mr. Colangelo here to answer our questions?
I would not expect Mr. Colangelo to show up.
And do you base that opinion on the lawsuit that Alvin Bragg filed against Jim Jordan in his official capacity in the Committee on the Judiciary?
I saw some of that, yeah. I mean, look, you have a legitimate legislative purpose to be inquiring as to what you're doing, so they have no leg to stand on.
But they're not going to come because we ask. And they're not going to come because they say so. And we learned that by observing our dear friends at the Oversight Committee. Because this will surprise a lot of Americans. After hearing the enthusiasm around oversight of the Biden crime family, we never sent a subpoena to Hunter Biden to give live testimony before Congress. Let that sink in. The Republican House majority has never subpoenaed Hunter Biden for live testimony in public. We've never done it. And I worry that, we're going about the same kind of process here, and we may end up there in July, right after sentencing, with an empty Alvin Bragg nameplate and an empty Matthew Colangelo nameplate. And then we'll start the process again on letters and subpoenas and accommodation, and I've just grown tired of it. And I think you're right, Ms. Foley, that this is all professional wrestling. There's no real effort to bring these people to bear. So,
will the gentleman yield for a
question? One second, I got a motion. Mr. Chairman, I move under Committee Rule 4 and Clause 2M of House Rule 11 to require the attendance and testimony of Alvin Bragg and Matthew Colangelo on July 12th to discuss their involvement in the Trump prosecution, including their office's coordination with the Department of Justice.
Mr. Chairman. Mr. Chairman.
Gentlemen, ranking members recognized.
It's a little absurd because Mr. Bragg and Mr. Colangelo have already agreed to appear before the committee on July 12th. We have a letter to that effect, so there's no point requiring them to do what they've already said they're going to do. The committee asked them for to appear. They asked them to appear today. They made the point that or Mr. Bragg, I should say, made the point that he didn't think he should appear before the sentencing on July 11th, but he'd be available thereafter, and he's agreed to come on July 12th.
Mr. Chairman, this debate's out of order.
You made a motion. It's not out of order.
No, you have to seek recognition pursuant to debate on the motion. You can't just inject.
I recognize you.
I'm still on my time. I'm still controlling 2 additional minutes of time.
You'll get your time, man.
I have a letter here. No, my point is simple. The committee requested them to appear, Mr. Bragg and Mr. Colangelo. They've agreed to appear. They plan to appear on July 12th. I don't know what this debate is about. I yield back. Oh, and I'd like unanimous consent, Mr. Chairman. Yes, unanimous consent to introduce into the record a report from Fox News headlined.
Without objection.
I object pending consideration of my motion.
Hang on, I want to deal with.
Let me finish.
I want to deal with Mr. Gaetz' motion. Then we'll take your unanimous consent. Mr. Bragg and Mr. Colangelo have agreed to come on the 12th. If they don't show up on the 12th, they will be subpoenaed. So I would ask the gentleman if he could withdraw the motion. They're coming. We worked hard over the weekend to make sure they're coming. And if they change their mind, they will get a subpoena from the committee requiring them, compelling them to be here. And then if they choose to go to court on that, I think we'll beat them in court like we did the first time when we got Mr. Pomerantz to come testify in front of the, come be deposed in front of the committee.
Time then becomes determinative. The problem is if we're going to bring these people in, let's go. I've made a motion to subpoena these people now pursuant to the rules, and I want to vote on my motion, or I want someone to move to table it.
You made the motion to subpoena them for the 12th?
I moved under Committee Rule 4, Clause 2M of House Rule 11.
I moved to
require the
table.
attendance.
I move to table the.
That's fine.
I
Let's take a
second
vote.
that.
That's not debatable.
Gentleman's made a motion. The motion to table is not debatable. Those in favor of
This is crazy.
committee will stand in recess.
Mr. Patel, are you part of an organization that uses market power for censorship?
No, sir.
And how much advertising capital do you deploy annually?
How much marketing investment do we spend?
Yeah.
850 million a year.
And you said less than 1% of that in the news area, right?
Yes, sir.
And that's because really your brands don't want to be involved in these caustic news disputes or political disputes. They want to be apolitical in the presentation of their brand. Am I understanding that testimony correctly?
So we serve 90% of American households with our portfolio.
It's a fascinating answer, just not to my question. Is the reason you de-emphasize news because you want to be apolitical?
We target our investment to address the consumers that buy our brands.
Okay, are you doing so for political reasons or apolitical reasons?
We don't do it for any political reason.
Okay, so then why are the vice presidents of your company trying to shape the way Facebook limits view of a Trump advertisement?
So I'm not sure what the intention of that communication was, but that's
I do. It was to get the Trump ad taken down. It's pretty clear. You had two vice presidents, Rob Master and Luis DeComo, who were pressuring Facebook to utilize Facebook's policies to take down a Trump ad. So it's just hard to believe that your goal is to avoid politics when not some intern at your company, but the vice presidents at Unilever are writing Facebook saying, we want you to take this Trump ad down and apply these policies to do it.
So I'm not sure what the intention of communication was, but
okay, I'll tell you what, I'll read you the communication. It's 2 words. It's your vice president to GARM when they were trying to get the Facebook ad taken out. It said, honestly reprehensible. So you're using this $800 million plus power that you have over the marketplace. Facebook is craving your advertising dollars. And you have 2 vice presidents hammering Facebook to take down a Trump ad about whether or not Joe Biden should have his ear inspected for an earpiece. That was what the ad was about, that you all found so reprehensible.
So respectfully, I'm not sure that word was done by a Unilever person.
You're okay. So Mr. DeComo didn't work for Unilever?
He sits on the. If I did my homework right, I think that came from the GARM, Rob.
Oh, Rob Rankowitz. Yes. And you are member entities to GARM. You pay GARM. You guys are GARM. I mean, as Mr. Jewell said, you have to have tools in order to help you place your ads. So you go fund GARM, and then here your vice presidents are commiserating with GARM over the fact that Facebook won't remove this. I guess, Mr. Shapiro, when we look at these big advertising platforms and they're hearing the people with the advertising dollars hammer them with this ideological tilt, what does that do to the marketplace for ideas?
Obviously, it shuts down the marketplace of ideas, which is largely the intent. And one of the things that I've heard from some of the Democratic members of the committee today is an extraordinary amount of projection wherein they suggest that Republican members of the committee are trying to shut down free speech by trying to get answers to questions about the kind of political pressures that are being put on social media companies, for example. But it's been Democrats who, for years, have been spending their time trying to pressure social media companies into doing their bidding by limiting the types of information that are available to the public and how that information is actually distributed. One of the things that's worth noting here is that it's not just a matter of advertising dollars flowing. The way that it works on social media is that if you are demonetized, then the reach of your actual content is also limited by the same social media companies.
Do you think the frequency of those demonetization rises when you have vice presidents of companies at Unilever trying to hammer entities like Facebook into taking down Trump ads?
Absolutely. Absolutely. There's no question that when you have internal pressures put on social media companies to take down right-wing material, that has an impact on the reach of right-wing messaging. There's just no question.
And I guess I don't mind when Democrats say they don't like conservative speech, or we get to say we don't like some of their speech. That's how this works. But it's when the business community colludes and utilizes market power to shape the way social media companies or websites disseminate information, that the public doesn't even get to see that debate and engage it. And I think the fact that it's clandestine is actually even more corrosive to the values that undergird.
That's absolutely true. The complete lack of transparency with which GARM treats both the member companies as well as the consuming public is one of the major problems. If they simply wish to levy a boycott against a right-wing source, they should simply say that's what they're doing. Hiding behind fake standards in order to project objectivity is a major problem in transparency for the market.